Now, you wouldn't marry your Tinder profile date just from their profile pictures, so why would you buy a house just from the pictures online? It's a really horrible idea. In fact, both are really horrible ideas, but you'd be surprised how often people still buy homes sight unseen in today's market. Here's 4 reasons why buying sight unseen in today's market is a really bad idea, and a bunch of ways that you can solve this problem even if you can't actually make it to the home yourself. Staging photos are made to look good. That's why sellers hire professional photographers to take them. So naturally, they don't tell buyers the whole story about the home. And without the whole story, you can't be sure about what inspections to ask for, what questions to ask your realtor or your home inspector or anyone else that you have come through the house. You'll be 100% reliant on the inspector, your realtor, your agent, whoever you have involved to make sure that they 100% clear the home for you since you're the buyer. And guys, I don't know about you, but buying a home is the biggest investment I've ever made. And for most people, it's one of the largest, if not the largest investment they will ever make in their life. That is not something I want to personally rely on someone else for 100%. And I don't think that's something you should be doing either. Now, most obvious is the fact that if you're not seeing the house in person, more than likely there are going to be things that you miss that would maybe otherwise make you not love the home. If the first time you see the house in person is the day you move in, and yes, there are people that do this, guys. I've heard stories, I've seen it happen, where people buy out of state and the first time they see the house is when they move in. If you do it that way, it's very likely that you're going to come across details in the home that actually make you hate it, or maybe not hate it, just not want to live there. And in fact, I don't know a single agent or a single realtor who has ever walked the house and said to themselves, oh yeah, this house looks exactly like the photos. That just doesn't happen, guys. And you shouldn't be making a purchase this large from a position of uncertainty based on photos that were taken to make something look, honestly, the best it could be or even better than it could ever be. Second, you could absolutely hate the neighborhood. And I don't know, this happens so often, way more often than it should. People don't consider the neighborhood enough. They only really consider their house. They fall in love with the house. Then that love kind of flows to the neighborhood and they end up ignoring just glaring issues in the neighborhood that should have been huge red flags to tell them not to buy. And speaking of red flags, guys, if you want more information about picking a neighborhood and picking a house in a particular neighborhood, I have a video linked down in the description. It's all about the red flags you need to look out for when you're moving to Las Vegas. So after this video, make sure you go and check that one out. But the truth is, the condition of the neighborhood is often more important than the condition of the house. And just like you don't want the home or the neighborhood to surprise you, you also don't want the city to surprise you. Maybe you've only ever been to Las Vegas on a simple vacation, or you've been here a couple times but haven't really explored the part of the city that you're going to be living in. Odds are, if you're moving here for about the first time, or based on one of those other scenarios I just gave you, you might actually hate the city. And guys, that's even worse than hating the house. That's worse than hating the neighborhood. If you bought a house in a city you hate, there's nowhere you can sell that house and rebuy in the city that you're going to love, because we've already established you hate the whole city. So this is really dangerous. And in fact, I've come across several YouTube videos now of people talking about their experience buying a house and living in Las Vegas, and all they do is bitch and moan and complain about how they don't like the city. And you want to know what all these videos have in common besides all the complaining? The fact that they did not do enough boots on the ground research in person before buying their home here. Now, I don't want that to be you, so please heed my warnings. Come to Las Vegas to check all this stuff out before you purchase a home here. But if you absolutely cannot help it, you can't make it to Las Vegas, then here are a few ways that you can mitigate your risk, still see homes, still see neighborhoods, and hopefully, fingers crossed, end up with a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood that you really fall in love with. The first thing you want to do is make sure you find an agent who routinely works with out-of-town customers. You're going to want someone with that unique skill set, because they're going to need to explain all the different nooks and crannies of the city to you, and you're going to want someone who has experience doing that in the past. and hopefully a lot of experience doing it on a very routine basis. Next up, you're going to want to make sure that same agent has the ability to record an in-depth walkthrough of all of the properties that you want to see. The keywords there, guys, are record and in-depth. Those are the keywords. The reason it has to be a recording is because you need to be able to go back and rewatch it with your husband, with your wife, with your cousin, with whoever you want to give you a second, third, fourth opinion on the house. If it's just a FaceTime walkthrough or something like that, it's not recordable, so you personally cannot go back and view that footage again. And that's dangerous because you're going to forget things about the house, you're going to overlook things. So make sure that agent can do a recording of every single house that you want to see. And when I say recording, I don't just mean a crappy cell phone recording. Make sure the agent really understands that you want a high quality, stable video with good resolution. Now, chances are if they're routinely working with out-of-town customers, they already know this and they probably have a setup. It doesn't have to be an expensive setup, but they probably already have a setup and a method for doing this kind of thing. But just to make sure it's not going to be just a crappy cell phone video that you can't really make out details or it's too fast, something like that. If that's all they can offer, I do recommend you either, make sure you tell them they need to up their game or just find someone else. Once you have a list of homes that you really want to see, even if you can't make it out to those homes in person, make sure you ask your agent who built the home, when they were built, and if the home has a model name or some kind of design number. Then take that information and go to the builder of the home, because more than likely in Las Vegas it was some kind of a tract home builder or some kind of a national large construction company. Go to that builder and find out if they built any very similar or identical homes in the area that you live anytime in the last 20, 30 years or ever really. Then if that is the case, see if any of them are for sale or if you can tour any of them in your local area. This is kind of a long shot, but if it works out, that means you could actually go tour a house that's the same as the house you want to buy, but it's in your local area. So you'll be able to get the layout, the feel, all that kind of stuff, but you won't actually ever have to come to Las Vegas. If you personally can't make it to Las Vegas, maybe find someone you trust who can come out to Las Vegas to view those homes. This could be a friend, your mother, father, brother, sister, whoever you want. Find someone who you really trust, whose opinion, aligns very well with yours. Have them come out, view the homes with your agent. Maybe they're going to be the ones taking the recording, and then they can give you that feedback. They can give you that information, and it's kind of like having, maybe a second or a third opinion on all of these different houses. Last but not least is the nuclear option, and that is where you pay the agent or probably a third-party company to come into a house and do a full 3D scan and the 3D rendering, and then they'll send that to you so you can do what's called a virtual walkthrough. Now, some houses, especially if it's a new build, kind of already have this where it's a three-dimensional video where you actually move the character, kind of like when you're doing a walkthrough on Google Maps where you can place your little character on a street. It's very similar to that. Now, more than likely, this is going to cost some money. Not all not all sellers of homes are going to let you do it because it does take some time. But in the case when you absolutely have to capture a home in detail because you have to make sure and you can't see it in person, this could be a really great way to go. Now, it's going to vary in price and it's going to vary in how complicated it is, from a small phone setup in each room that kind of spins around, takes a bunch of pictures, to essentially like a full camera crew. So do your research, talk to your agent, figure out what works best for you. But like I said, guys, this is the absolute nuclear option. And speaking of what's best for you, there should be a video popping up on the screen right now. Highly recommend you check that out. If you got some value from this content, please smash that like button and that subscribe button down below and head over to my channel and check out some more content. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you later.